She stands in front of a mirror. Perfect hair, perfect leotard, perfect hair perm, perfect smile. Then she opens her mouth, and what comes out of it is the cruelest and the coldest voice you've ever heard. It's not boss talking. It's not her husband talking. It is not her mother or her father. It is her own freaking head talking to her. That's the very first seconds of Physical, and it tells you everything about what you're in for. Some cold and cruel thoughts. Hi, I'm Paula, and this is a space where I talk about movies, books, series, or honestly anything that I think it's worth sharing with you guys. Today we're breaking down one of Apple TV's brutal show that you have in their portfolio. It is a show that if you buy the book just by its cover, it looks fun. It looks like a candy-colored 80s comedy, but don't be fooled, because underneath, on the inside, it's a woman eating herself alive. Quick heads up before we dive in, this is a video that is going to be full of spoilers of Physical, including major plot turn across all the 3 seasons. So if you haven't watched it yet and you don't want to get any spoiler, maybe pause here and come back after. It's also important to warn you that this show talks about eating disorders. If this is a triggering topic for you, this might not be the series or the video that you want to go digging into. Now, let's talk about the series and what this is actually about. Physical premiered on Apple TV in June 2021. It was way off my radar for years. Maybe it is off of yours too? Who knows? The show ran for 3 entire seasons, 30 episodes in total. I mean, how the heck did I miss this for so long? On the surface, it's dark comedy. You see leg warmers, perms, California in the 80s, leotards, a killer soundtrack. But digging the internet, people use the same word to describe this series over and over. And the word is not fun. It is not nostalgic. It's dark. Almost uncomfortably dark. Because here's the deal. Physical isn't really about aerobics and leg warmers. It is not about perms and the 80s. Aerobics is just the door to this story. What's behind that door is an unflinching look at eating disorder, self-hatred, and a woman quietly falling apart. All this while everyone around her assumes that she's just fine. The woman behind all this show's creation is Annie Wiseman. Before Physical, she wrote for Desperate Housewives. She created a Fox drama called Almost Family. She spent years in rooms writing other people's stories. Then she decided to write her own. Wiseman grew up in San Diego, California, so the setting is familiar to her. As a kid, she watched aerobics boom happen in real time around her. Leotards absolutely everywhere. Moms sweating in mall parking lots. A whole industry built on the promise that if you just work hard enough, you could fix your body. And here's the part that makes this show hit deep. Wiseman has openly said that Sheeler's eating disorder comes from a real place, a real eating disorder material. She has talked about her own history with eating disorder, bulimia, and exercise compulsion. In interviews, she describes digging through old, painful memories to write this show. And I could personally feel it while I was watching. It was personal. It was like talking to somebody that really felt and lived this. Some of it was so raw that she said that she would have to basically step outside and sit in her car before she could keep going. I think that's a strange way of seeing a writer in an open process of basically excavating herself. But I appreciate the whole honesty that she put out there to the world. So what actually happens in this series? The show follows Sheila Rubin. It is 1981 San Diego, California. Sunny, beautiful, and completely hollow underneath it all. In the beginning of the series, we meet our main character, Sheila. She is a housewife, she is smart, sharp, completely underestimated by everyone in her life, starting with her own husband, Danny, who, by the way, is running for a state assembly and treating Sheila like unpaid staff. The audacity of the man. On the outside, Sheila looks like she has it all together. On the inside, she is in a war with herself every single minute, every single day of her life. Her inner monologue never shuts off, never goes on vacation. It critiques her body. It insults her choices. It tells her that she's worthless, that she's garbage, over and over and over. In this relentless, vicious internal voice that the show let us hear the whole time. She copes the only way she knows how. She binge eats. She purges in secret, in silence. Only us, the audience, and her own mind knows what's happening here. Then she stumbles into an electric aerobics class. And for the very first time, she finds a space where her body basically is not the enemy anymore. It is a tool. It is a power. The rest of the show tracks her transformation from broken housewife to aerobics business mogul. But the thing is, physical never lets you forget the cost of that transformation. And that's kind of like hanging the whole time, because the same obsessive punishing relationship that Sheila has with food, she starts pouring into fitness instead. It is not a redemption arc that we see. It's an addiction, always. Just changing shape. The plot was directed by Craig Gillespie. He's the one that directed I, Tonya. You guys remember that? Oh, I do. You can feel it comes from the same vibration here. It is the same stylized, slightly harsh, unglamorous camera eye that we see throughout the series. Gillespie doesn't shoot 1981 San Diego like a postcard. He shoots it with a kind of a clammy, sickly beauty. Gorgeous, yet uncomfortable, all at the same time. Later episodes were handled by directors Lisa Johnson and Stephanie Lang. Both kept that same visual language consistent across all 3 seasons, and you really cannot miss it. Let me warn you of one other thing. Food in this show does not look appetizing. You are not going to desire anything that Sheila buys or eats. And this is made on purpose here. Whenever the camera lingers on something that Sheila is about to binge on, it feels hostile. And that is not an accident. That is the show putting you inside of Sheila's disgust with what she's about to do or what she's doing at that moment. And then there is the editing, which I always like to talk about. It is a tad claustrophobic editing made mostly by Nana Kodai and Michelle Harrison. The show constantly cuts between what Sheila says out loud and what her inner voice is screaming underneath. Polite, calm conversations on the surface, while a verbal assault is happening in her head, cutting back and forth. So you're never really comfortable in the space that Sheila or the outside is. You're always aware of that gap between the women people see and the woman that she's actually on the inside. It's a battle that we're watching. That battle is what matters. Now let's talk about the cast. The beloved Rose Byrne plays Sheila. This is the type of very demanding role that an actress can take on streaming television. We recently saw her shine and do something uncomfortable and somewhat similar in If I Had Legs, I Would Kick You. And she was brilliant at it. I would say brilliantly painful at it. And if there is one actress that I think who can do the job, that person is Rose Byrne here. She acts and narrates her character's cruelty towards herself episode after episode. That inner monologue is delivered in a voiceover, meaning basically Byrne had to find a way to make pure venom sound almost conversational between inside and outside. The inside is chilling, cold, because of how normal it sounds to her character. Before this and her last, heartbreaking movie, Byrne was mostly known for her comedy, Bridesmaids, Neighbors, and prestige drama like Damages. Physical asked her to fuse both instinct into one performance. Funny on the outside, devastating underneath. Rory Scovel plays Danny, and he is Sheila's husband. He brings specific brand of oblivious, self-satisfied charm that makes him infuriating in exactly the right way. You believe he loves her, but you also believe he has no idea who she actually is. Della Saba plays Bunny, the surfer turned business partner who becomes basically the central to Sheila's aerobic empire, and there is going to be a battle between the two of them. Paul Sparks plays Danny's political idol / rival at the same time. I did not mean for that to rhyme. And in the series, he is John Bream, a conservative real estate developer convinced that the shopping mall that he's building will save the entire American family. Bream starts out as Danny's political rival, a button-up, guilt-ridden figure carrying his own quiet self-loathing underneath all of that certainty. Later, Sheila and Bream end up having an affair, and for a while it becomes basically another outlet for her, replacing food and exercise with something just as compulsive: sex. Sparks plays him with this stoic, repressed intensity for a man who is just as trapped by appearances as Sheila is. It ends up being one of the most unexpected pairings of the show. Two people performing control while quietly falling apart on the inside. Dirty Friel plays Greta Hauser, a fellow mom Sheila meets at their preschool. Greta starts out almost as a target for Sheila's cruelest inner thoughts. And I'll tell you, she can be one cruel, mean woman. But their relationship becomes one of the most important in the show, and one of the most pure ones as well. Sheila offers Greta private lessons, not to shrink her, but to make her strong. That single choice slowly turns Greta into Sheila's best friend and eventually business partner, all as the Body by Sheila empire grows. Friel plays her with this open, reactive warmth that gives the show some of its only real lightness. By the end, Greta is one of the very few people who sees Sheila clearly and purely as the complex person she is and stays with her anyway. And the ensemble keeps expanding outwards from there, building this whole basically ecosystem of early 80s Southern California ambition here. The casting choices all serve the same idea. Everyone around Sheila is performing confidence. Sheila is just the only one whose performance is actively killing her. The 1980s choice of decade is not random as well. And bear with me here, youngsters. This is not Stranger Things type of choice. The early 80s is when the home fitness industry exploded. We are talking Jane Fonda's workout tapes, the VHS boom, aerobic studios in the living room, funky gyms popping up everywhere. Suddenly, women's body weren't just judged, they were monetized, turned into a whole business model. Wiseman is showing us the exact moment when diet culture and fitness culture merged into one single industry. A machine that basically dressed itself as empowerment, a take control of your body, transform yourself, language that basically sounds inspiring until you realize it's built on the same self-hatred that was already eating Sheila alive beforehand. Does it sound familiar to the current you can do coach culture of today's world? Well, it is setting the show here in this specific moment of the decade. It lets physical ask an uncomfortable question here. When a woman channels an eating disorder into extreme exercise instead, is it recovery or is it just more socially acceptable version of that same illness? And spoiler alert, the show never really gives us an answer, by the way. But I believe it is worthwhile the reflection for all of us to have, and the show gives that moment to us. Here's why physical lingers with people long after the credit rolls, and why I believe it is a must watch, and why it lingered with myself after I watched it. And don't binge watch this series, by the way, digest it. Most TV shows about eating disorders keep them in a different way, in a different perspective. I'll try to explain here. It's normally shown in a dramatic confrontation, in a hospital scene, in a family conflict, in a moment where everyone finally notices that that problem exists within a circle of friends, a circle of family. Physical does something scarier, deeper, more raw. It shows you how invisible and cruel this illness actually is. To the outside, Sheila functions. She's perfect. She smiles at dinner, she smiles at parties, she helps her husband, she's great. She raises her daughter, she's active with the moms, she goes to the gym, she looks great. elite, she runs a business, and the entire time we're inside a mind that is torturing itself in total deep secrecy. That's the disturbing part. Not the binge eating and the purging itself, but how normal Sheila makes it look from the outside. Nobody notices what's happening. Nobody knows. Nobody ever realizes. It's how easily this kind of suffering hides in plain sight, while inside is a woman everyone assumes is quote unquote fine. The show forces you to sit with that cruel inner voice for 30 episodes. And by the end, you understand something that a lot of people don't. Eating disorder is not about vanity. It's about control. It's about silencing a pain that has nowhere else to go. So physical isn't comfortable television here. It was never trying to be one. It's a show built out of one writer's real story, filtered through the neon glow of the aerobics boom and handed to an actress that is willing to spend 3 seasons narrating her own character's self-destruction. Think about that. Now, if you've seen it, or if you got curious and you faced all the spoilers, let me know which episode broke you first. And if you haven't, maybe don't binge this one late at night. Just take it easy while watching it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this episode with your friends or your family. See you in the next one. And for now, ciao, ciao!